Yeah, it's the first one for 2024. I will be emceeing-ish, although there's no microphone today. I'm Michael. I work at, sorry. Where's the So I work at Infinite Lambda. I'm the principal here, and I cover the business in Singapore. We're a data and cloud consultancy with a lot of expertise in dbt. And yeah, and we're kind of been running the meetups here for a little bit over last year and a half, 2 years. Jingyu is my colleague, and also she helps run the meetups here as well. If you find us on the local Singapore, if you're new here, feel free to drop us a line, say hi, if you have any questions about stuff, let us know. Well, that's the agenda, but we're already kind of here. Yeah, so we have two presentations today, one by Bernard and one by Adam. So Bernard is from foodpanda, and he'll be talking about dbt test bloat, and Adam is from Traveloka, and we'll be talking about the localization journey in BigQuery. Mike, yes.
I thought you were Adam.
No. I think he's better looking than me. But yeah, and we also have the Taipei dbt community on Zoom because well, they had a last minute, I think, with their speaker. So we're going to be sharing. We'll do some Q&A, and they might jump in for some questions in between the sessions. Do not be alarmed if you hear sounds coming from the TV. Cool. Housekeeping stuff. This is an obligatory sales slide. This is the dbt Coalesce conference. I think there is the online is free and the in-person is a few $100s, I think. So I think you get a discount if you sign up early. We will share those in the slides later as well. But if you are interested in those, you should get it while they're still in the early bird. And sales. And you should join the dbt Slack if you have any questions about dbt. Right, and you can join this local Singapore channel. You can reach out to me. Cool. Sorry, was somebody scanning? Oh, okay. No, you good? You got it? Okay. Got it. Cool. All right. Without further ado, then Bernard will kick off. Yay.
Okay. Yep. Okay, yeah, cool. I think the Taiwan tips. Okay, okay, let me do a check first, just to make sure I don't overrun. Okay, so my name is Bernard. I'm from foodpanda, and today I'm talking about managing dbt test bloat in foodpanda. Okay, and kind of a personal experience, but introduction. Just before we dive into the quick topic itself, I think like just a little bit about me. So currently, I'm an analytics engineer at Delivery Hero, and if you know us through the APAC brands, you will more commonly know us through the brand foodpanda. Yeah. Emphasis is F is small. If not, anyone from foodpanda will be kind of triggered down there. But previously, before that, I was a product analyst at Sephora. So from a ladies, you will know your makeup, beauty, skincare. I was from there. Yeah. And prior to that, I was a data analyst at Essence Media. So more of a media agency kind of thing, and doing A/B testing and stuff. So one fun fact is that I am sharing the same birth year as when Tetris and Ghostbuster came out. So we will know that you probably know how old I am. Okay.
That 83, right?
Yeah, 84.
You just gave away your age.
Of course, I think I had that in mind as well. Okay. So before I move into the topic, I think as usual, we always have some disclaimer, like these are my views. I don't represent a company, so that I stay in my job. You get learnings. We are all happy. Okay. So today's content will largely be broken into 3 buckets. First will be intro, and then second part I will talk about the challenge, which is dbt test bloat, and then more importantly the how do we overcome it. I'll try to balance between technical and more conceptual theory. but because I think I can't really tackle one of them in totality without talking about the other. Yeah. So in intro, we'll talk about why dbt test, like setup and overview, and then like some of the challenges we face in product analytics in foodpanda, and kind of how did we try to overcome it. Okay, and definitely that's not the end of the story. And I'll leave the rest for Q&A. Okay, I'll try to see if I can finish up so we leave some time for Q&A. So before I move into the topic of improper, how many of you implement dbt tests in your current dbt models? Oh, okay, good. I think it's quite evenly split. I think it's quite evenly split. So I know someone understand me, and then some of you will be like, what is he talking about? Okay, so dbt test, I think to put it very short, it is basically for those of you working with dbt, you create a model, okay, and as an analyst, life move on from there. You start building your dashboard, everything, thinking that everything is good, we are good to go, getting real numbers, and things are good. So having dbt test will be a layer after building your model. So you start to test the output of it. And why is testing important for analysts? As an analyst, we speak a lot to stakeholders, business stakeholders most of the time. And how often have you came across this kind of comment? I'm not sure, can I trust your data? Like, you know, it failed me the last week. How am I sure that this is right this week? So one of the things that we do to kind of encourage more trust, build more trust with our stakeholder, will be through testing. And like what it says, it allows the analyst to be more confident of their work. And at the same time, you build a data model with an intended output, and you test it to make sure that it meets this output. So at the same time, if you introduce changes to your data model next time, you also kind of see that, okay, I'm not breaking anything with that introduction. And all this kind of builds up more of the trusting system with your stakeholder, that they understand, okay, you know, there's some governance in place. I think if no alerts is good, no news is good news in this case. Yeah. So at the same time, it also helps the analyst to take a more proactive approach in identifying issues and resolving them quickly. And you don't want to be the case where, back to the same theory of trust, you don't want your end consumer to come back to you, data consumer, hey, the number don't look right. Can you look at it? Then we are then put in a reactive position. And over time, it erodes trust. And taking a more proactive approach really help build those areas. So over at foodpanda, what we do is that product analytics team, we basically leverage on two out-of-the-box test modules. So one of them will be the out-of-box test that dbt give, will be unique, not now, accepted values, and relationship. So accepted values will be something like you have a field called gender, and you kind of right now just define it as male, female, okay? And you are not accepting any other things. This may change, okay? But at least you defined it. So these are some of the values that we test for. And in terms of like expectation, dbt expectation is a derivative of the grade expectation. If for those of you who are data engineer, you probably will have used grade expectation before. They kind of translate some of those tests into a dbt macro itself, yeah, for usage. So now moving on to the anatomy of a dbt test. So for all of you, those of you who have worked with dbt models before, you will be familiar with the YAML setup where you put in your schema, okay, where you define where's your owner and everything. And a test is basically just adding on to your schema file more fields. And I will say, like, you know, over here, just to give a very quick intro, will be you have your name of your table model, you give it a description, and right down after it, you will have the first test. So these are table level tests where dbt test, when it runs, it tests against the whole table itself. Okay, so usually what will happen here is that you look for volume, table volume. Is the table volume in line with what you expect? That means, am I getting zero volume for today when this model run? If it's no volume, that means something is wrong. I'm not getting any data at all. So I have a freshness issue. Moving on, you will have the other part, which is column level. So this is where we get a bit more granular. You go in to look at individual columns and you start testing for those columns. So you probably, I would have this column called platform. And inside there, it will tell me the device of the user. So is it a web, iOS, Android? And the idea is that it should not be now. So that means everyone who use the foodpanda app, you should be in either one of these devices. If it start returning me as now value, then that doesn't make sense, because how can you come to our platform without through a interface? Yeah. And over here, something a bit special that our data engineering team in foodpanda does is that they created behind the scene a sub-module that I will talk a bit more, where if I'm the owner of this table, I have to add it in, and it's mandatory that we'll have a name there. And why does it matter? Later, I'll show you. So now, every time when I run a model in our daily run, dbt test would run concurrently with it after the output of the model has been created. And if you look at it from a code perspective, Unix perspective, you will see like individual line will be the test that is being conducted on it. And you will see that it's running. And then if, let's say, 2 started run, and then second, it failed. So it tell you it's a pass or fail. And when that happens, if it's a failure, it triggers a notification down to Slack. And we as owner of those tables would be notified about it. So this will come out something like this, okay? They will say, hey, something happened to your table, look at it. And there's a problem down there. And this is where we go into the Airflow logs to start looking at which of the tests is failing. So right now, this is how we set up the ED test. So pretty much straightforward if you go with the out-of-the-box solution. Yeah. So as an analyst, it looks good. It looks simple enough. I just need to define my YAML file and we can move on. Okay, that's good. And obviously, I like the idea to get some proactive approach and take the more forefront seat in terms of telling my stakeholder and managing them when it comes to issue. So everyone go ahead and start doing it. Okay, but there's always a but. Over time, we run into a problem. Okay, and how this problem comes up is that we, as a team of product analysts, our topics start growing. You start tackling more and more topics, and you start building more and more data models for those topics. And as of Q4 last year, we are just product analytics alone. We are running 480 models and 460 tests at any single day. And they are owned by 30 analysts who are managing it. And I think, let me see. Can't really know what I put for the 30 pass. Domain. Oh, yeah. Domain. Yeah. So we I forget. Put too many things already. Okay. So we have 20 plus domain, and like you can kind of see domains at different topics. Okay, bigger topics, and inside you have subtopics. And you can imagine, okay, if there is a critical issue that happened upstream, okay, I can be sure 460 alert is going to fire off. Okay, and this is where we talk about test flow. Okay, as an analyst, 30 analysts, you are dealing 460. You know what's the ratio of the number of issues that you need to solve versus one? Just don't think about it. Yeah, so that you can sleep well tonight. Okay, so yes, running more tests does put us in a more proactive seat in detecting data anomaly, but what is lacking is actually a governance model or process around it. So you create a new set of problem. We have manual monitoring. So put it this way, if you want to test for freshness, you expect every day to have X amount of data coming in. How do you know what is a good threshold to have? I can put threshold greater than 1. I will always pass. I can put threshold greater than 1 million. Probably I always fail. And the analyst will always have to tweak. This is a problem. They always have to tweak just to find. I can do a mean of last 7 days. But have I considered seasonality? Because maybe December, a lot of people start doing a lot more orders. I get a lot of alerts in December. Yeah. So, and then we have table tiering. The issue of table tiering, where we treat every single model with equal importance. So 400 and 300 table goes off means at the same time 300 models are critical. I need to fix it. Yeah. And when this also another thing is that when things break, then the first question I always ask, where is it breaking? Yeah. And then lastly, okay, kind of a 2 and 3 compounded to 4 is what is the process to handle it? How should I tell my stakeholder? What's my SLA? Because a lot of things goes back to without a tiering system, you can communicate. To the stakeholder, you say everything is important. But I have only one person, there's only one burner down here. I cannot be fixing it, everything. I wish I can clone and duplicate myself, but it doesn't work that way. Yeah. So over time, it actually leads to what we call alert fatigue. The analyst just, you know, I can't deal with this. I'll just give up. Let the alert just fly. Yeah. And it defeats the purpose. You basically, by taking 1 step forward, you are taking 2 steps back. And then realize that there's an alert, but no one take action on it. Yeah. So this is a very real problem that we face. And with that, it came to a problem. This thing is, how might we improve our data testing experience? Okay, where, you know, we got the technical side sorted out. It looks easy enough. And then what's next? And then we'll talk about this thing that we, as a product analytics team, we come together, we form a working group, okay, with a bunch of other analysts, you know, sit down there and really, what is my pain point? Together with me as an analytics engineer, we will see, does all this pain point us to something common? And we kind of broke it down in 3 buckets. First, we have a problem of tiering. We treat everything as equally important. Yeah. We don't really have a very clear process on how do we set up our tests. We basically just, you know, trigger happy. Since it's so easy, I'll just set up every test. More is better, right? And thirdly will be technology. With dbt is serving us our needs, but do we want to also consider looking at something to complement it as well? You know, just to tackle some of my problem. I'll talk more a little bit about each of these in the coming few slides. So in theory, for tiering, this is how we would like it to be, very clean, okay? Very well defined, data engineering on this side, analytics engineering on this side, finance on this side. Ideal case, I always love it. But reality is that everything is interlinked, okay? I may have something on analytics engineer that takes the output of a reporting analyst because they are the domain expert, they know their data better, but I bring it up to my level, I expose to more users so that people don't create new table all over from scratch. So this is where this spaghetti thing down here. Yeah, don't worry, this is not my table. Copy from internet. Yeah. So tiering, we went ahead to really think hard and really took us a long time to tier the table, and we look at impact, and then we start to look at it. What goes into tier 1? How does tier 1 table looks like? And then we will say what are the kind of check SLA that we need around there. I would say if you look at the color coding, you will see anything that is more of a red orange will be what I call a tier 1, and then tier 2 will be here. Anything that is blue are outside of our scope, because as an organization as big as foodpanda, we have data engineering team. And right now, the problem that I'm trying to tackle is just within product analytics only. So there are some things that is not within our control, and I think during then, we say, let's start small and then we'll tackle, keep ourselves cozy before we start telling people, hey, look at the framework that we came up with. And we identified two things, tier one. So tier one, I will call it a pseudo data mart. They are not data mart themselves. They are kind of acting like a data mart. That we know from an analytics engineer perspective, if there's this break, my other 20 plus domain analyst table will be affected. So that's very important. And we also conduct A/B testing. So the output of this would be anything that is going to A/B testing. They are also considered tier one because decision on rolling out a product on GMV or cutting back those products depend heavily on the test result. So we need to make sure that those data that feed into experimentation platform has to be reliable. Yeah. Anything in between, we'll say like, if there's an alert down here and there's no alert down here, let's try to backtrack. We'll give, this is the first phase. Okay, the analyst will try to backtrack where the problem is. But if something is here and something is here, I will definitely know that let's fix this first. Look at this again before we start considering here, the tier two. Yeah. So now we have the table importance tiering down. Second, we look at individual table. The kind of test that I want to run in individual table, I also start tiering them. So you kind of think about it from two-layer test. A table, important, tier one, what kind of test I want to go in. We would have P0 and P1. P0, I will call that as a table freshness, table volume. So those are very important. Okay, if no data is coming in, don't forget about any column tags because it doesn't really matter anymore. If in each of these tables, if I have a unique identifier field, I want to test that, make sure that they are unique. There's no duplicate. And there will be some other fields that we label them as must-have, which is also quite important. Values that report on revenue figures, everything. So those are critical because decisions are made based on them. And we really start putting in things into good to have. Okay, maybe in some case I will need it, but I don't really need it. Yeah, and lastly, we have optional. So this is the mental model. And while it looks simple enough, it actually took us a long time to debate, discuss, and then refine it over and over again, before we kind of say, okay, we are comfortable with this criteria of tiering. So moving on, once you have the tiering, you have the alert setup. Everyone kind of know what is priority, which one go first, which one go second. Once that tiering is up, we can actually start talking about alert management. I start setting expectation. When a tier 1 P0 alert get fired off, what is the expectation? You have to, if it's big enough, table level must have high, very critical, okay? Because in some way we can't really function without them down. Imagine the table has no data coming in. This will be as short as drop everything, look at it. And who will be owning it? Analytics engineering. We agreed, we talked about it. Okay, we are in the best position to be the first responder to those issues. Then we'll take that. Then we start disseminating, doing our comms and everything. For priority 1 alert, likewise, okay, what is the expectation? These are, I will talk about severity level that is a bit more in detail. It's not about tackling the problem, but also problems are telling your stakeholder. Very soon enough, people will know, they'll start panic and all your Slack message is coming in. I'd rather you have that common message out to the audience first. Hey, something has happened. We're looking at it. We'll let you know. At least you stop. If not, what will happen is that while you're trying to fix a problem, you will be trying to deal with all the ping that is coming in. Hey, something is wrong. Can you tell me what is it? Everyone have no visibility that something has failed. Yeah. And lastly, on the technology part itself, so our data engineering team brought in Monte Carlo as a data observability platform about a year ago. And we thought that it's a very good tool. It's not going to replace, it's going to complement with what we have on dbt test itself. One good thing that we like of Monte Carlo is that they make use of machine learning. So they have their machine learning. algorithm behind it. When you onboard the table into them, they start learning what is an acceptable threshold. So remember, just now I talked about the threshold is a manual process. The analyst has to iteratively go through this. Monte Carlo kind of help us with that by looking through the model from the data seasonality, what is an acceptable threshold, and they set off certain alerts. So this is more automated. You know, we got the tiering, everything now is using the technology to help us work smarter. And they also provide us with schema change. Okay, in dbt, most of the time if table breaks and due to a schema change, unless you remember each column, you probably won't know which column got dropped. But Monte Carlo give us that history or date to say that, oh, this column was dropped. Or in fact, another one that is harder to detect is that column stays intact, but data type in the column change. Okay, it changed from maybe a string to a numeric number, and all your data pipelines are breaking, and you look back, why the column are all there? Only to realize that data type had changed. Yeah. So we use this in complementary level with our dbt test, because dbt test is very simple to set up. So we like it. Like, I don't have to do a lot of setup, and right now Monte Carlo, it relies a lot on analytics engineer to help you set it up. And not that it's hard, but we want to govern it a little bit more. So you have to start talking, what's our use case, everything to analyze. Too much trouble. So we still use dbt test down there for their own individual small table to at least you get some basic testing running up. Okay, and if it serves your need, good. But if you think you want something more, then talk to us, and then we'll get something set up for you. Yeah. So this is kind of after we went through all this process last year, and in our first round of refinement. Why I say first round is that this is obviously not going to end. Okay, you always get better. Use case changes, things changes, life changes. We become a lot more deliberate in applying what test. You know, we went in with the first approach, greedy algorithm, everything test. Okay, and then we realized that we are taking on more than what we can chew. We also have a bit more uniform approach in handling data issue. So between analyst A, B, and C, the approach, the stakeholder can expect the same kind of communication that goes out because we establish certain framework and process around it. And which also bring up to clearer roles, who to look for. You don't ping anyone in the chat, hi, anyone. The worst is that you DM 5 other analysts and none of them own the table. Yeah. And in short, it kind of, with this lower noise ratio, analysts are much able to focus on trying to solving the problem and have a faster turnaround on this. Yeah. So this is what we have learned. So key takeaways is that data quality testing is a team sport. Okay. Analytics engineer, we could have to take on this, but I don't know how long that will take. Everyone has a part to play. Analysts know the details of their data. So they are subject matter expert in their data. Like, in a way, we should also trust them to know what is a good data, what is a good quality, what is bad. Engineer, the more we step back, we can only look at something broader. Freshness, volume, these are things that I cannot define that, oh, are you defining this few calculation correctly? We can't. We have to depend on the analyst. And next thing is that not all tables need the same level of data coverage. Okay, there will be small tables that you don't really need it, so maybe we can skip that. We focus on the important one. And importantly is that you have to adjust testing to different table and use case. Okay, we wanted to go with a standard approach, but we realized that is not going to work. And what's the point of implementing if it's not going to work? More importantly, I would say this is the most important. I would say start small. Okay, data quality and data governance is an ongoing game. You're running a marathon, and rather than trying to come up with this very grand conceptual idea of how to govern it, start small. Okay, if it breaks, it doesn't work, we'll change, we'll adjust accordingly to that piece, and iterate from there. Lastly is that you set up alert where it matters, so that when tests fail, you don't get overwhelmed with too much alerts. You tackle this alert, I can solve 5 other issues. That's what important. So all in all, I think this is what our key takeaway and a learning, and hopefully everyone like takes some of this learning and you can speed up your process of governing or issue a lot more better. So thank you for your time and yeah, and for your
Any questions in the room?
yep.
Are these typically T+1 analytics? Are these T+1? That is, do you do this in real?
No, so we
have a kind of different.
so it runs concurrently. So our batches right now are runs once a day. So the test
T+1, which is probably spreading the full data.
yes. So it's not ideal. In the ideal case, we definitely want to be very proactive, identify a problem before it. But I think we're still getting there.
It's not so much about the problem in terms of your end users, you're preparing this for your end users. So they sort of today's data, they would probably see the analysis tomorrow, right?
Yeah, usually, yes.
But there's nothing that's happening in real time with real time data processing.
Not on our side. No, there's other business entity that are using it, but for our analytics, we use batches.
Thank you. So very informative.
Adding on to that, I think, because what you're saying is you're testing data at rest, right? Basically, once say all the tables are created, you're testing them at rest. But since you have connected to Monte Carlo, doesn't Monte Carlo test it in motion when your clients not with the real time?
可以哦，就是会
Correct. So also run it in parallel. So once the table get refreshed, they see the metadata, they know that the table is they will conduct their test again. So I think in a way, you can say both tests are running about the same time. Monte Carlo, you need to set it up. So we only set it up for the really important ones. The smaller one, dbt test, if you have a small table, it's easier to set it up down there. Yeah.
So we have basically underlying we are pretty much working on same thing data quality framework. So we just want to know like we have the priority 0, priority 1, and the tables are followed the same. So like let's say priority 1 high critical, priority 0 critical, priority 1 maybe the medium one, right? Let's say if it fails, example like with the priority 1 test fails, then are you still presenting the downstream jobs or how you are doing it correctly?
Okay, so right now with dbt test, we are not blocking the table from running. So basically it is your downstream, it sends you an alert, but the downstream table are still going on. One of the reason is that we are also mindful about false negative. Okay, I don't want to accidentally stop a very major pipeline because something came out and then it creates more trouble. I rather right now you have the test, we alert, we investigate, we validate that it's a legit problem. We make that announcement. Hey, something is wrong. What you are seeing today, numbers may not be that accurate. We're gonna do something to fix it. Yeah.
At least it is alerted us proactively, so that without knowing that, so we can work on it.
Yeah, but in ideal case, if later on, once we go into a stage where we know that it's very critical, there's no two ways about it. In those cases, we can actually stop the table from running. One of the good things about it is that you save your compute resource, right? What's the point of running something that is wrong and then only to rerun it again?
Maybe for the feature one,
yeah.
How do you make that announcement? You said you made an announcement when you detected the error.
Yeah, so that's basically the way how our organization set up. We have analysts in a common Slack channel. So that's the update channel that we would
only
have.
the analysts will get communicated on these failures, DQ failures.
Yes, right now.
So not the consumers, the actual consumers.
Not so much now. There's a few consideration point about that is that most of the way how we set up is that a lot of business, they work with an analyst. So you give that analyst who understand the work we do here to manage those conversations, smaller conversations of it. It's a lot more effective. Yeah. Rather than you tell them, then you kind of set off some panic down there and it brings on more questions.
But otherwise, I mean, still it's not proactive, right? So there will be a lot of questions from the consumption side because you don't stop the pipeline. It will still flow. When somebody will consume, then they will also notice that there is a trend change in terms of the data volume and this stuff. So they may also get get it raised, and the analyst will get more questioned on, will be approached by more parties.
Yeah, in a way, most of the time, analysts take a more proactive because the alerts they will be notified first, so they can actually say, hey, something is down there.
We'll keep you updated.
We'll keep you updated. I am working right now with my upstream stakeholder. We'll keep you posted. Any question you have, you let me know. Yeah.
So all the analysts will get notified for all the key failures.
No, right now this implementation is only from product analytics. Yeah. So we get a lot more. We got analysts from logistics, marketing, everything. Like we haven't brought them on board because start small. It's easier to manage. Yeah.
Could you split between things that you run at dev and things that you run on data?
Sorry?
Did you split tests between a set that you run on dev, model release, and ones that you run every single day when the data batch is done?
No, I don't. So DBT tests run together when the pipeline is running. So if the pipeline is set to be running daily, it will run daily. Yeah. I think Monte Carlo has a bit more flexibility down there. They a lot more adjustable. They look at the overall trend itself. So it's complementary.
Do you have a change process on CI which checks for whether someone, when deploying the model, whether that is appropriate for them for the DB test on it?
Right now, no. Right now, no. I think the one that will involve a lot more thought around there. To introduce it as a CI process, the first thing is that how do we know that field is important, that requires a check? Yeah, and I think unless we have a very data-driven way to calculate importance of that column, that you need to have a test in there. If not, it's going to just add more work to analysts. So
correct me if I'm wrong, you said that you have importance associated, so you might be doing tagging of your data set as like tier 1, tier 2 in your YAML file, right? If that's the case, wouldn't you not know what the importance of the data set is when CI runs?
That's a good point. Right now in our test last year when we did the first round, we haven't went in to tag it specifically. Yeah, so there was something that we agreed on and we say let's roll it out. Let's not try to document things. If it works, then we put in a process down there. Yeah.
Super question. Are you using data contracts?
We are moving into that. We are moving into that. That will be coming soon. This year. Yeah.
I have a question online.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah, I have a question about the tier table you mentioned the slide, and you made a tier like tier 1 or tier 2 in different colors, but the upstream tables of that tier, like what would you do? For example, if there's any issue about the tier 1 table, and would that responsible, for example, like analytic engineer responsible for tier 1, do they check all the pipeline? Or for example, in your slide, the tier 2 is the downstream table of the tier 1. So what would happen if there's any error in the tier 2? Would that mean the person who responsible for the tier 1 table still need to do the check?
Okay. So let's tackle the tier 2 first. So tier 2 are mostly managed by the product analyst. If a tier 2 table get alerted, most of the time the analyst will be the first responder to those alerts. Okay, and the way how we are set up is that they consume a lot of things from like their data set will be a lot more smaller, and then they can work to resolve it. And if they need help, they will come to analytics engineer for support in tier 2. So tier 1 table, that's a more interesting piece. Right now, this implementation was only set up for product analytics. So ideally, we want to expand it up to the more upstream table where we get data engineer involved as well to also start thinking about a framework to complementary whatever framework that they have right now in coming to this. But with the current design, as you rightly mentioned, tier 1 tables are owned by analytics engineer, and if there's any issue, we will investigate and then have to work directly with the engineer to tell them, say, we got alerted, we suspect it could be something on the upstream that is broken. Could you take a look at it? Yeah. So there is this thing that we are not connecting fully as a whole because of the size of our organization. And back to the same thing about start small and iterate, is that once you've proven this on a smaller team, it works, then you start kind of advocating it to other teams to say that you may want to take this approach as well. Yeah. And then over time, we will get there that engineer will know something is breaking and who to alert. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think since we're kind of running over, so maybe we go to the next presentation. If we have questions later, maybe they can just come up to you.
Sure.
That's all right.
Okay.